Go.
Okay, James, now on to problem set 87, solving for unknown factors. Like I've shown you now in the last two videos, still trying to use the algebraic steps for the unknown. So here's one that is not obvious to see. What would I multiply by 6 by to get 21? Solve it through algebra. Inverse operation, we want to isolate W. So you'll write this, we'll put a little arrow there, and then your second step, show me that literally you are dividing both sides by 6. Those cross out, leaving you just W. And on this problem, we'll work it out in good old school. 6 into 21 4 times. And at this point, depending on the problem, you have a choice whether you do decimal or fraction. I think on this one I'm going to choose to go fraction. So the answer is 4 1/6. And that's my final answer. Right now in Saxon, it might tell you to leave it as a fraction or as a decimal. Either one will be fine. Okay, so we're going to go to number 2. Second example, we even do this with decimals. And I want you to notice that I put the missing value on the right side of the equation. That doesn't matter. I still need to get rid of the numbers associated with the x. In this case, we're multiplying by 5/10. Inverse operation, what do? That's right, you divide by 5/10. So we'll write the problem down again. You can leave the zeros off if you want. Either way, it's fine. But we literally are dividing by 5/10. Makes this part easy. Those are gone. So I know I have x. There's not a good way to cross cancel here. It's decimals. Work it out old school. So we'll squeeze it over here. 8/10 divided by 5/10. Quick teachable moment. Can't divide by decimals. This is kind of like showing how we do proportions. As long as I do it to the one side, I can do it together. I'm going to move this once, I move this once. So it becomes 8 divided by 5. And I am going to finish this as a decimal, since my work was given to me in decimal form. 5 times, bring down, 6 times, 0. So the answer is 1 6/10. Pretty straightforward. Final problem. Keep showing me in your work these algebra steps. Let's isolate m by itself by doing the inverse operation of multiplying. Oops. Okay, no, those are gone. But I'm going to take 3 2/10. I'm going to divide it by 8. Get 4/10. One of the reasons why I didn't try to cross cancel is since I do have a decimal, I was afraid when I cross canceled I might not have my decimal in the right place. So I went ahead and worked it out old school. And of course your answer is 4/10. Now before we go, I want to challenge you with, like I've been challenging the class, on working with, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So I'm going to try one more problem here. And I'm going to introduce something that's going to seem a little odd, has nothing to do with the lesson yet, but we're going to use something called the distributive property. If I were to give you the problem 5 parentheses 4x plus 3 and asked you to simplify this problem, this is what it would be. Very quickly, I'm going to step away from this for a minute. If I'd given you a problem like this, 4 times 3 plus 2, old school tells you to add, which is 5. 5 times 4 is 20. The distributive property allows us to distribute the multiplication through what's inside these equations. So instead of saying 5 times 4, I could have said that's the same as taking 4 times 3 plus 4 times 2. That would give us 12 and 8. And of course that gives us 20, which you knew the answer was going to be 20. Now, let's apply it back up here. Erase this.
Just pick it up.
Again, I'm asking you to distribute 5 through this equation. So this equation becomes, let me put an equal sign over here also. Let's say this equals 30. So we can actually solve this problem. Distribute the 5 through this equation. Because I can't add 4x plus 3 because I don't know what my x is yet. So I'm going to take 5 times 4x. That gives me 20x plus, and I have to take 5 times 3, 15 equals 30. Now this is where we're bringing back into algebra. First we're using the distributive property, now we're going to solve for x. First thing to do, let's see what we can isolate from this side of the equation until I can get my x by itself. I'm going to start by getting rid of the 15. To do that, instead of adding, I will subtract both sides of the equation. Simplify that, that's 20x, because this will equal 0, and 20x plus 0 is still 20x, and this will equal 15. Now I need to isolate the x completely. I'm going to divide both sides by 20, since I was multiplying by 20. These will cross out, gives me x, and I kind of recognize that as a simplified fraction, so I'm just going to reduce first, or cross cancel. 5 into 20, 4 times. 5 into 15, 3 times. So I have a choice here. I can say my final answer is 3/4, or I can turn it into a decimal, 3 divided by 4. I'm even going to put an or here, and you probably already knew that'd be 75 hundredths. Good luck!